Hi, my name is Jessica Ortiz, and I am at the end of the Math Masters of Education program K through 8. I have enjoyed the program at UAS, and I am pleased with the knowledge that I have gained and how I have grown as a teacher. I started the program 2 years ago when I knew I wanted to continue my education with a master's. I chose the Masters of Mathematics program because math was always one of my most difficult and challenging subjects. I wanted to become a stronger teacher in mathematics and help those students that have math fears or struggle with math the way I did. I'm going to be taking you on a tour of my portfolio. My first goal, philosophy of education. You'll notice that there are words that are highlighted green. When you click on those, they'll take you to my artifacts that I chose. So this artifact here is a description or reflection of the Van Healy model. It explains how students learn geometry. I believe that all children can learn and that each child is a unique individual. Not every child is in the same place in their learning. My role as a teacher is to guide students as they learn and build their knowledge. I believe it is important for students to have access to hands-on activities and the time to make discoveries. I believe that learning should be engaging and motivate students. I chose several artifacts for my philosophy of education. One was the Van Healy's model, the theory behind how students develop as they learn geometry. I've also included lesson plans where students have had to work collaboratively and then take a risk in sharing that with the whole group. And I've included a presentation of my research that I did on students and math anxiety. At the bottom here, I've included my philosophy of teaching math statement. So this is specifically about my philosophy of math. Goal 2, human development. For Goal 2, human development, I describe how I relate to Piaget's theory of learning. His theory has had an important impact on the theory of practices of education. All children go through the same development sequence, but they do so at different times. So as teachers, we need to put forth special effort to differentiate for our students' unique learning styles. One of my artifacts is a research and reflection paper that I did on the Van Healy theory. I included that again. And I believe that this theory can be applied to all areas of math. Each level of learning is built upon prior levels. Another theory that I relate to is Erikson's theory, that if children successfully develop trust, they feel safe and secure and are able to learn, and they're willing to work with others and share their ideas. The artifact I chose was a lesson that I created where students had to do just that, work together, solve problems, and then share their thinking with the whole class. I've also included Richard Mayer's theory, cognitive theory. So using technology in our teaching, when it's used appropriately, can make learning more meaningful. For my artifact, I chose a research and reflection paper that I did for incorporating technology in geometry lessons. Geometry is very visual math, and using technology it can be used to reinforce concepts and make connections and better students' understanding. So when we understand how our students develop cognitively and socially, we can supply them with the necessary tools to become active, engaged, and successful learners. The last artifact I included is my research on math anxiety and how teacher practices influence students' feelings about math and school in general. Goal 3, differentiation. Differentiation means adjusting our instruction to meet individual needs of students. There's a diverse group of learners in every classroom, and all of those learners can be reached in a variety of methods and activities. Differentiation means providing interrelated activities that are based on the student needs to ensure their grasp of the skill or idea in a similar way. My artifacts are lessons that I incorporated the use of technology, collaborative group work, and the use of manipulatives. For goal 4, content knowledge, because there's so many standards, I provide examples of how I've incorporated some of them in my teaching. My first artifact is a case study that I completed during EDMA 608 problem solving. This artifact shows how higher level math students solve the same problem in different ways. For numbers and operations, I chose research papers that I did on algebra concepts, the use of manipulatives, variables, exponential functions, linear functions, and problem solving. For geometry, I included my artifact on the Van Healy model, the importance of teaching geometry according to van der Waal, and how geometry is used in the real world. For data analysis, statistics, and probability, my artifacts include a shared problem from EDMA 656 about probability, a shared problem regarding data, a lesson plan about the relationship between quantities, a PowerPoint presentation about scatter plots and correlation, and a reflection about data-driven decision making. For goal 5, assessment and learning. As an educator, I use a wide variety of methods to assess, evaluate, measure, and document the academic readiness, learning, and progress and skills acquired by students. We use assessment daily to understand where our students are and make adjustments in our teaching and instruction. Effective teaching begins with student learning objectives. One of my artifacts I chose is my Understanding by Design unit, where I created the lesson, starting with the objectives, and worked backwards. Assessment and data drive instruction. My next artifact is a presentation I created about data-driven decision making. My presentation describes the 7 elements of a comprehensive action plan. My other artifacts for assessment include a grading rubric that I created for a social studies project and exit slips that I have used in math. Goal 6, learning in community. As an educator, I want to help students meet their fullest potential by providing an environment that is safe, supports risk-taking, and invites sharing of ideas. The artifacts that I've included here are links to conscious discipline, which is something we use school-wide for behavior, connected and respected, which is a social and emotional learning curriculum. I included a copy of my classroom behavior matrix. I've also included a classroom agreement with students that we signed this year. I have a brochure that I created at the beginning of the year. And when I go out into the community the day before school, our teachers go out into the community and greet our future students. I also have a classroom scavenger hunt, copy of that sometimes I create them myself, or sometimes I found them online for the kids to get to know the classroom. I've also included a link to Champs, which is an instructional tool used to keep students motivated and engaged. Goal 7, Parents and Community. When schools, families, and communities work together to support learning, students' academics and attendance improve. Schools play an important role in determining the level of parental involvement. So I've included an invitation that students created, inviting their families to open house, back to school night. I talk about family nights that we have throughout our school year. My brochure is included again. Back to school open house letter, and that explains to parents about the 5th grade curriculum, the expectations, grading. I also have included a newsletter, which I sent a copy of a newsletter that I send home weekly to keep parents informed of what's going on in the classroom. Goal 8, professionalism. As an educator, I know that learning is continuous. I understand that the value of lifelong learning is critical in developing new strategies and skills to enhance my instruction and inspire my students to reach greater levels of achievement. Just as we hold high standards for our students, we need to hold ourselves to high standards. So for professionalism, I've included artifacts that show conferences that I've attended, trainings that I've had, memberships that I have, such as the National Education Association and National Council for Teachers of Mathematics. And then my final goal, technology. My artifacts include incorporating technology in teaching geometry, math websites and applications that can be incorporated into lessons. And I also included a 5-minute video of myself teaching math. Through this program, I've gained a great deal of knowledge about the use of technology. I've learned how to use WordPress. I've learned how to use Screencast-O-Matic, Weebly. I learned how to upload videos to YouTube, things that I didn't know how to do before. I learned how to use Twitter. So it's been an amazing experience, and many of these things I can use in my classroom. In this paragraph here, I've explained the various projects that I've done with students using Google Docs and Keynote, Comic Life, iMovie, KidPix, because I know that technology is important. It's fun, it's engaging, and students enjoy it. That is my portfolio, and I'd like to thank you for viewing it.